Francis Ngannou versus Curtis Blaydes. Now, what really happened in this fight? This was an incredibly short fight where he only landed one powerful punch in the entire fight to pretty much end it. And we're talking about him punching a guy in Curtis Blaydes, who is known to have a solid chin, taking punches from Francis Ngannou in their first fight, and taking a lot of shots from Alistair Overeem as well as Mark Hunt. But it only took one shot for Francis Ngannou, which shows the development of Francis, the way he generates power with his legs, how he moves forward, the momentum he brings forward into his punches now, and he caught Curtis Blaydes completely unexpected. Coming into this fight, many believe Francis Ngannou was done for, right? His Stipe fight, he was quote-unquote exposed. In his Derek Lewis fight, it furthered that he was mentally broken from the Stipe fight. Experts, analysts, people in MMA with large audiences put out that this fight against Curtis Blaydes would be a nightmare matchup for Francis Ngannou, especially because Curtis Blaydes is on a roll. He's beaten some of the top contenders of this division. He's a young guy, and stylistically, looking at the Stipe fight, being a wrestler in Curtis Blaydes, he should have a much easier time in this one if he goes and initiates those takedowns and wears out Francis Ngannou, because Ngannou, quote-unquote, can't deal with the wrestlers, especially with good cardio, and because he lacks that cardio. Francis Ngannou shut all that down with one punch. And there was a little bit more to that before the punch. Now, this was only a 45-second fight, and you would think, what else was there in the fight? There were a couple things to take note. You have to note the distance Francis Ngannou kept the entire fight. It's about a 2-foot distance between each other. And whenever that closed in, Ngannou reacted. Every single time. He would move back if Curtis Blaydes moved forward. That 2-foot distance between him and his opponent is the necessary distance he needs for himself to feel comfortable. And with the difference in stances, such as Curtis Blaydes coming out with a very long stance, and Ngannou coming with a shorter stance, but more mobile and more flexible, this only put Ngannou to a much bigger advantage. It also allowed Francis Ngannou to stick to Curtis Blaydes' right side and be more comfortable there. If you notice, Ngannou was always slightly to his left on Curtis Blaydes' right side, almost the entire fight. But this also put both of them at risk from the right hands of each other, the power side of each other, right? Ngannou's front foot was almost completely aligned with Curtis Blaydes' back foot, and Ngannou's back foot was actually in the middle of Curtis Blaydes' back and lead foot. That's how much he was on that side. But the difference in punching power and overall punching ability, it favored Ngannou to do this. And he has a longer reach as well. He's a much more formidable striker. And also doing this, the lead leg of Ngannou becomes more so on the outside toward the right of Curtis Blaydes. So if he wants to grab onto the single leg or shoot in on Ngannou, it's a little bit further out of reach. This just seems like a habit of Francis Ngannou. I don't know if it's him planning this out, but it just seems like a comfortable position he's in always. It might be stemming from his training. And Ngannou keeping that 2-foot distance, and whenever he was moving away from Curtis Blaydes, whenever Curtis Blaydes was trying to cover the distance, Blaydes would have to move even further in to connect any punches or touch with any takedowns. Because when he initially steps forward with that long stance, it makes it a lot easier for Ngannou to react to Blaydes' footwork. So he would have to step into that 2-foot distance, and that will only make Ngannou move. This is not enough for him to connect a punch. So he would have to move twice that distance forward, just about, to connect anything on Ngannou. And this means even to set up a strike. As long as Ngannou doesn't try to counter, and if he's just moving back, that's what it will take. So when Ngannou moves back, you see Curtis Blaydes step forward with his back foot, and then he's attempting to step again with his lead foot, in which he does. He pushes off the back foot. You can see him lifted off the ground when he throws the jab. This is not a great sign. It shows that he's going to plant himself in the new space he took. So he goes out and extends the jab, and look at the distance between his fist and Ngannou's head. There's a long distance there. That's about a foot to foot and a half. He had to cover that much more, double that distance just about to catch Ngannou. And now he brought his back foot forward, he planted it, and now he put himself in danger, because now he's trying to backtrack his action instead of continually moving forward, which is something I think he probably should have committed more on. Try to set up that takedown more, because just one more step forward, or even having Ngannou come in on you, instead of backtracking on your action, you got to commit on it now. Set up the takedown from here, because Ngannou now is reacting, right? You cover that distance again, Ngannou goes and reacts to him, and Ngannou goes and throws that long left hook. This was the perfect opportunity for Curtis Blaydes to try to change levels. But he doesn't. He moves back, and that long left hook of Ngannou got Blaydes to lean back with his upper body and cover up. This huge reaction of Curtis Blaydes from that long left hook of Ngannou shows how much of a threat Ngannou is to him on the feet. How much he respects the striking of Ngannou. And him leaning back, it opens up his legs. He disregards the legs, focusing on his head not to get hit by these punches. And Ngannou, amazing setup from him. Long left hook, to a right leg kick. Classic Muay Thai combo. The form of Ngannou's kick was a little bit iffy there. Not too much rotation. You can see where his foot that's planted on the ground, where it's facing. It's not really to the left. Wherever that foot is facing, that's where the power is going to generate through for your kicking leg until it kind of reaches that point. And because he can't torque the hips and can't rotate them enough, he landed with the foot instead of more where the shin would be, bottom of the shin. But you can see the impact. I mean, it folded Curtis Blaydes' leg inward. I mean, the power of Ngannou is crazy. He kicked Curtis Blaydes like he would kick a football, a soccer ball. Hopped off the planting foot as he did it. I mean, that's almost exactly like you kick a soccer ball. And then let's look at the actual takedown attempt. Many people were talking about the takedowns of Curtis Blaydes. How did it do against Francis Ngannou? And how did Ngannou stuff it? Well, Curtis Blaydes was moving, and Francis Ngannou was keeping that 2-foot distance the entire time, and Ngannou put his lead hand forward, almost like he was faking it, or he was just setting a distance. But he leaned forward a little bit as he did it, and this triggered Curtis Blaydes. Blaydes steps forward, long straight right hand, and he's committing fully. He has a lot of momentum going forward, which tells you he's going to continue his movement forward. Ngannou goes and parries it with his right hand, and he's looking to land a check left hook, and look how tall Ngannou gets. I mean, if you don't get a better bait for a takedown, I don't know what's better. I mean, Ngannou stood up straight, really tall, hands are above his hips, and Curtis Blaydes is below the hands of Ngannou. This is a perfect setup for a takedown. And Blaydes goes and shoots in. But just like their first fight, Ngannou's speed is a little bit overwhelming. It's such an advantage for Ngannou against Curtis Blaydes. Even Blaydes being in such a great position to get a takedown, the speed he has to enter is not enough to trump the speed Ngannou has to stuff a takedown, even if his hands are above and he's standing tall. And Blaydes was looking to go straight at Ngannou and drive with the takedown, but Ngannou intercepts him with the left arm, which makes it look like Blaydes was trying to get his head on the outside. His head was never trying to get on the outside. But this threw off Curtis Blaydes' takedown. Brings his right foot forward, tries to connect with his right hand behind the leg of Ngannou, and it seemed like he tried to go for a double leg, but Ngannou, he gets his hand right under Curtis Blaydes' chin, gets it under the armpit, and then with his right arm, as Curtis Blaydes is now extending forward, because now Ngannou with that left arm in, he's moving his hips back, he's moving his feet back. Now Curtis Blaydes has to cover even more distance to connect with his left hand, and in that time, Ngannou brings down his right arm, grabs onto the underhook, and he's moving with Blaydes. He's not trying to force him back. He's not trying to go strength for strength with Blaydes. He's using that momentum, following it so he keeps that space in between each other. Then he starts rotating counterclockwise so he can get his right arm in and then shrug off Curtis Blaydes. Huge confidence builder for Francis Ngannou. And then when we go to the ending sequence, Francis Ngannou plants himself. He made a huge tell that he was going to commit, because he planted himself instead of moving, and Curtis Blaydes moved back. And what does Francis Ngannou do? He stutter steps forward. This is a huge tell when someone's going to throw a powerful punch. Goes and throws a left hook with the step forward, putting a lot of power into this right hand. And look where he steps to his left. Every movement he made was to his left, as well as forward, of course. And Curtis Blaydes moves directly forward at Francis Ngannou. He just turns his hips, and he's looking to fade out to his left through that. And he goes and throws his own jab. I mean, this is crazy timing for Curtis Blaydes. He went and commit on Francis Ngannou and threw the jab exactly when Ngannou went and threw out his right overhand. So Ngannou connects with the left hook, and him moving to his left as well as committing with the right hand got his head on the inside of Curtis Blaydes and threw the right overhand over the top. But look at Francis Ngannou's punch. Look at his fist. He never connected with the knuckles. He kind of connected with the wrist or the fingers, the inside of the fist, right over the ear of Curtis Blaydes. And the arm of Blaydes actually blocks the punch from committing fully. That's the craziest thing about this. Blaydes threw a jab correctly to cover his chin, right? His chin is covered. Half of his head is covered behind that shoulder. And when you throw an overhand like this, it's going to get caught on the arm and the power is not going to generate all the way through. And it was still enough to put Curtis Blaydes down. That is crazy. I mean, look where the punch ends for Francis Ngannou. If the arm of Blaydes was not there, this punch would have been so much more devastating. Now, another thing that made this a lot more powerful, or at least a lot more impacting on Blaydes, is the fact that he brought his back foot around. He swung it back behind him, which actually put him into the right hand a little bit more. But it doesn't matter. The power of Francis Ngannou is absolutely out of this world. Curtis Blaydes' chin is solid, and he folded him with one punch, something he couldn't do before. This could also be Curtis Blaydes' chin was compromised after all the wars and damage he's taken, but still. This is a valuable lesson to never underestimate a fighter, even if they have a bad performance, even if they lose to one of the greatest of all time. And next fights for him, he called out JDS, he called out Volkov, and he wants a rematch with Stipe. I don't think the rematch with Stipe will happen. I think Stipe might be fighting Kane, but if he isn't, I mean, would they do it? I don't know. I don't know if they would do it. I think they would give him a JDS or Volkov. I think those are very logical options. People are going to say Mark Hunt, but I think Mark Hunt's too low in the rankings. I don't think Ngannou would take that fight. Volkov, I think he's in the top 5 still. And Blaydes, I think, was number 2. So Ngannou knocking out the number 2 guy in 45 seconds logically only puts him right behind Stipe. I think a fight with Volkov would be fun, but if not, JDS is fun as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe. For my next video, it's going to be my podcast. I've been having some technical difficulties, which is making uploading my podcast a little bit difficult, but I think I'm going to have that resolved by Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'll be looking out for that, and again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.